As you can see here, I already have my mannequin section. She's all prepped and ready to go. I've sectioned her into 5. We have a section from ear to ear, and then right down the middle. I've also sectioned off her crown. I've already cut our base length that we want. So we are going to start with creating a nice layered shaggy look back here. I've sectioned her right on top of the occipital, basically from ear to ear. So I'm going to start with taking an inch section from right in the middle of her head. And I'm going to over direct up as if I was cutting regular layers, but I'm not going to pull the layers up too high. I'm going to only come up until these bottom layers are falling out of my fingers. And that'll be my guide. Let me get my shears out because that's important. Next, we're going to take half of that section and include it in with our next section. And I am just pulling the hair out directly from where it lives. I don't want to over direct. I just want to follow the shape of the head. I'm going to look for my guide. Again. Find the guide where I cut before. Now with the side piece, when we get to the end of her hairline, I will over direct a little bit to my guide that was there before, just to preserve length here so we're not creating holes in this haircut. And you can see she has a lot of nice little layers going on. And now I'm going to do the other side of her head. Take my guide from the middle. Make sure everything's combed out nice and straight. Find my guide. And again, over direct a little bit right at the end of her hairline. Nice shaggy layers with a little bit of over direction here. Now we're going to check and make sure everything's even. She's a little longer on the side, so we need to find basically where we went wrong. So she was probably over-directed a little more than the other side, if I had to imagine. Again, checking. Still a little longer. So from there, we're gonna work on her crown. Picking the clips out. So what we're gonna do, again, we're gonna take a 1-inch section from the middle of her hair. And we're gonna use this bottom piece from the previous section as our guide. Let me get this out of my way. So I'm gonna hold the hair straight at a 90 and cut, and then I'm going to graduate up, continuing to hold everything at a 90. Find my guide, there it is. And basically, we're just knocking off all of those little corners. Take a piece from the previous section for my guide.
So what made you choose this haircut?
Well, with this haircut, we are going to kind of cover a bunch of bases. Not only are we going to go over finishing techniques, but layering techniques as well. Let me lower her just a little bit, make things more comfortable. So when you're working with different haircuts, this technique where you're kind of going from right above the occipital to the top, taking off that little bit of corner is going to help round out your haircuts. So you don't have big weight lines in what you're doing. Say you're doing bobs or even a long bob or even one layer haircuts. If you come in and just knock off that little bit of hair, it just creates a softer effect. So again, right from where it goes, I don't really have to worry about this section. I don't have to worry about cutting a hole here because we're working at the top of our head. I will over direct again just a little bit so that all of these layers match up. Find my guide. Straight 90, like I learned in beauty school. Nice shaggy layers. And then with our last little layer, again, we're going to do a little bit of over direction. And always be careful not to cut into your guide. Nice shaggy layers. Now this haircut and these techniques can be great on ladies who have been wearing just a bob for a long time and they want to do something a little bit different, but they want to do it very subtly. So this will help give them volume, a little bit of just texture and interest within their haircut. So now we're going to move on to the front, which is going to include basically curtain bangs and your classic shag techniques. So my bangs will actually be my guide for this. Now the way I like to do my curtain bangs is find where the curve of the head starts, and I like to take triangle section from that middle piece over to the side, usually right in the middle of the eyebrow, so that we're not cutting off too much at first. Come on with that out of our way. And pull everything straight down to determine the length. Happy Memorial Day, guys. So I'm gonna go probably right underneath her nose, but again, I'm pulling, I have a little bit of tension, so her hair will pop up, especially dry. So I'm just gonna cut into that straight. I'm not gonna worry about angles or any layering just yet. I'm gonna do all of that dry so I can actually see what her hair is gonna do. So I'm gonna pick a side to start on. I like to go from the corner and kind of take triangle sections as I go, almost pivoting. So I'll grab my section. I'm gonna comb these things out of my way because that'll be my guide for the other side. And I'm basically gonna hold everything straight out where that bang lives. So everything is going to come this way. Can you get a good view of that?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use my bangs as my guide. So everything from this section is going to be brought up to there and cuts. So again, take a little more hair. Comb it out straight. And you can see we're already getting those nice layers without having to do too much work. Then I'll take the rest of the section and comb it to the same spot. See, and she does have a nice disconnect here, but we're gonna take care of that disconnect after she's dried. or not. Maybe she likes it. Maybe she loves the disconnect, and then you can keep it. I did not cut my length in the front, but I will take care of that. I don't know why I spent my makeup. So again, a triangle section on the other side. And everything straightforward, using that bang as a guide. So when you're cutting this way, what you're thinking about is your over direction. So all the hair from here is going to be longer than all the hair from here, which is why you automatically get those nice blended layers without having to put in a ton of work. So my main motto in life is work smarter and not harder. Make things easier on ourselves. Make sure all of this hair. And sometimes with these haircuts, combing is the hardest part. And keeping your mannequin still. Let's not forget about that tiny little piece. There, all done. So that is it as far as the wet portion of this haircut. From here, I would usually put some styling products. I have a few of my favorites already out. I have Famoliant, the Be Curly Style Prep, and the Nutriplenish Leave-In Conditioner. I would start with the Nutriplenish, then move on to the Be Curly, and then last would be Famoliant, just on their ends. I would blow dry her out, kind of in the direction that I want her to lay. And we already have one mannequin done for us, so we can save some time. So as you can see, I blowed her out. I kept everything down the middle so I can see what I'm doing. I can see my haircut. I can see where she's heavy at. I can see my weight lines, which a lot of times when you're just doing wet cutting, you don't see those things. The wet hair tends to hide everything. So we can see here that she has a nice hard weight line, right? And we want to get rid of that. We also want to create a little bit of texture here because the hair is very thick. So we basically want to go in and kind of sculpt out what we don't want. So for this, what I would do again is just section from ear to ear. It doesn't have to be perfect. Put all of that up and out of our way. All of this up and out of our way. Well, that's not working out, is it? Let's try that again. Excuse me. So here again, I'm going to take an inch from the middle and start. So I'll grab all of this, and I'm not gonna pull it up or anything. I'm just gonna hold everything at a 90, but I'm going to angle my fingers, and I'm also gonna angle my shears. And I'm just gonna take a few bites down, and that's gonna remove just a little bit of weight from right there. Again, we're gonna move on over. Angle, and I use that bottom layer as my guide where I want my fingers to stop. Go around the head. Find this. So here, when I get behind the ear, I like to take a diagonal section and do the same technique. I find it removes bulk. I find most people are bulky right behind the ear. And then again on the other side. So we're behind the ear, diagonal section. And you can see that just removed a ton of weight for her. So she's not big and bulky. And it creates a little bit of interest. You can see the difference between the bottom and the top where I didn't cut. Everything just sits a little nicer, a little softer. So now we're gonna move on up to the top of her head, which you can do this in two ways. You can either pull everything out and kind of use the technique that you did for the bottom and knock all that bulk off. But for her, I want to keep a ton of hair here because I want her to have volume. So I'm just going to lift up and come in and almost point cut with my thinning shears. And that's just going to soften all of that up. Now, if you wanted to remove a little bit more weight from her, another thing I like to do on my clients is kind of find this back corner of the head, like right behind the ear, and take a nice triangle section. Hold everything up. I know I'm grabbing some of that disconnected piece in the front. That's okay. Over directive it and just bite into that underlayer. That way you're removing weight that they don't see. And you can see how nice that sits compared to the other side. I will do the same thing to the other side. straighten that wig line. Excuse me. Get rid of that clip. And then again on this side, we're going to find her ear and go from there and take a nice big triangle section. Pull everything up and over direct and remove all that weight from the bottom. And what that'll do in her crown is thin this out and have this laying nice and flat, but she still has all of this to give her volume. Now we're gonna move on to the front. We're gonna talk about these curtain bangs. New car here for you. We'll do one side at a time. Again, I'm gonna start with that kind of in the same sections that I took when she was wet. Come at her tangles. I'm gonna hold everything just like I did when I cut it the first time. And I'm holding my fingers I'm basically using the same technique as I did on the bottom of her hair. Angle my fingers. Remove some weight. And you can see that's already sitting a lot nicer than her other side. I'm going to take the same section, hold it up, and now I'm going to remove the weight from here at this ankle. So again, you can see that's just sitting a little nicer, a little less heavy. Now for her sides and her disconnected piece, we're also going to do some other techniques that are going to force that hair to push backwards. But right now what I want to do is tie in this disconnected layer to the back. So I'm going to take a little bit from the back, part of my disconnected layer. I'm going to over direct everything to the back. Hold it up so I'm not cutting too much off. And I just want to go in with my thinning shears and kind of remove all of that hair. At the bottom, you can hold everything straight back and take that hair off. And so now for everything in front of her ear, I'm going to take a nice little triangle section, hold everything up, and come from underneath and remove weight. And you can see how much nicer all of that sits compared to the other side. Now we'll do the same on the other side. From the back, from right behind your ear, and another section from right above her ear. Sorry. Over direct. I'm going to take my triangle section here Now what I'd like to do, and I don't do it on everybody, most people, yes. If their hair is really thick, I will kind of bite into the hair a lot. If it isn't, I'll only do it like 1 or 2 times. But I'm gonna take a little bit of that bang, over direct, and I'm gonna go in and kind of back comb and open and close my shears at the same time. And try not to straighten out some of it. And that just makes those bangs want to push backwards. And you can even take a little bit from her sides here and do the same thing. And that just softens everything up a little bit more. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Take our bang section, over direct. Over direct. Take a look at everything, and if I feel like she's still too weighty in certain spots, like these little pieces we kind of didn't touch at all. So I'm gonna grab all of that. Kind of just take a look at it, see where it is heavy. I find it's heavy right at the bottom, kind of mostly here. Over direct and just take a little bit of that weight out. Same thing with the other side. It's easier if I stand behind. So come in. Take a little weight out. And she's done, and she's ready for styling. I feel like we moved all over the place. Luckily, mannequins can move. Our clients don't. Well, their chairs do, but they mostly stay still. So, for styling, what I will do is section all of this up and out of my way. I have a 1-inch curl iron already plugged in and hot, ready to go. I'm going to take some vertical sections. I'm going to finger comb this. I like to curl her bottom layer, especially in the front, for this in the front, but if her hair was longer, it's pretty much all of the bottom layer. And I like to curl it towards the face. And the reason I like to do that is when it's all finished and all said and done, it just adds a little more texture and all of your curls aren't going in the same direction. So it looks just a little less uniform and a little more messy. For this hairstyle, because she's so short in the back and just the way everything is sitting, I will go towards the back with these very first pieces towards the face. I'm going to let that down so that it is out of my way. And this side. And we're not going for perfection because this is supposed to be a messier hairstyle. You could do this with your flat iron. You could maybe, if she has natural texture in her hair, kind of re-wet everything or just re-dampen everything and hit her with your diffuser for styling. I always do half of the head and then the other half of the head. It's just how I like to work. This bang area, obviously we want her to go away from her face so that she gets as much interest out of those curtain bangs as possible. Nice little curls. And now we'll move on over to the other side. Clip that out of our way. Again, this little side piece in front of her ear towards the face. And then everything else towards the back. Again, not going for perfection, just want to add a little bit of bend and interest to her hair. Just a finger comb.
How long have you been doing hair?
I've been doing hair legally for 5 years. Illegally, or should I say without a license, for 20.
What made you want to be an educator?
I really enjoy teaching, and I feel like it comes naturally to me. And I just want to share the knowledge that I picked up, you know. I've had some really, really good teachers in my life who, without them, I wouldn't be where I am. And I like to give back. I like to connect with people in that way. So I'm always on a path for learning. Always want to learn. So I just like to share knowledge. And I believe that we should all share our knowledge. There, now she has some nice curls, and I am just going to shake all of that out. And finger comb. You know, her little head's not straight. And there you have it, folks. Mannequin hair never cooperates, does it? Nice, shaggy, layered bob with a little bit of a disconnect for a little bit of interest, but you can definitely use all of these techniques from these different parts of the head on almost any haircut. And thank you for joining us today.